Hi friends, let's see the app we are going to develop in the next couple of lessons. When you run this app, this is the main option screen. You will see a menu which is on a table view. So I can click on say employee options, then it will load this data, and all the employee data are loaded dynamically from a data source, right? And then I can click on employee, and then it's dynamically changing this page with that particular employee and the projects. If I go back and click another employee, you can see the same page is dynamically changing with that employee and the projects, which are all loaded dynamically. The images are also loaded dynamically from a data source, right? So it's different images loaded dynamically. And then I can delete employees. Let's say I can swipe and say delete, then it deletes the data, right? If not, I can click on edit and say if I want to delete something, click on this and click delete, right? And when I'm done, I can say done, right? And then further I can insert data dynamically. Let us say a section P and say Peter, for example, and click OK. So it all gets added dynamically, right? Then once I'm done with employees, I can go scroll down, right? And then I can go into department options, right? So department, and do the same thing for department, right? But it's very important that you have to make sure to look at the next couple of lectures in this on table views, that is part 1, 2, 3, etc., until we complete this app. It explains all the theory and the practical knowledge which you need to know about developing this app, right? Okay friends, we are very excited to show you how to develop this app practically, and let's do it now. Okay friends, so the following is the outcome of this part of the lesson. When you complete this part of the lesson, your app will look like this until you complete the other parts of the lesson. It will load a list of employees dynamically, right? And it will allow you to click and dig into detail, and it will populate this screen dynamically, and all the images and the employee data are populated dynamically from a data source. And when you click on another employee, it changes everything dynamically. But after you complete this lesson, make sure to go and look at the next lessons in order to complete the full app demonstrated earlier. Hi friends, so this lesson is table views, dynamic content, event handling part 2. So it's a part 2 of event handling. So you have to make sure you look at part 1 before this. Okay, so I'm very excited to take you into this lesson, and let's see what's inside this, my friends. Okay, tools used. We'll be using Xcode version 11.4.1 for the practicals and Apple Developer Docs for referencing. Prerequisite, you have to look at the following previous lessons on table views in Objective-C in this series, which is table view static content. Then you have to look at table view dynamic content, your table view controller, lessons part 1 to part 5. Make sure you look at table view dynamic content, UI table view part 1 and 2. Also table views dynamic content event handling part 1 just before this, right? Because it's a combination of several lessons, right? You have to look at some of the previous basic lessons in Objective-C in this series as well. In this session, you will continue using UI table view controller to display the list of names. You will continue to use the UI table view delegate protocol to override delegate methods required to handle the click event. Then you will be using and displaying multiple view controllers, right? We'll use multiple view control using NS dictionary to store data. Until we do databases, we'll use NS dictionary to store data, and you'll learn about passing data from one view controller to the other. And especially you will be using UI table views depending on the requirement of this project. Awesome, right? Okay, that's what you'll be learning in this session, right? Lesson plan is practical demonstrations. Awesome. And let's now go and do it, my friends, right? So I'm going to continue from our previous project, right? So this is the previous project which you did in the previous lesson, which is table views dynamic content event handling part 1. So make sure you do the previous lesson before this, right? And then get that code, right? Because for this lesson we are using that code, right? Okay friends, right? Let's run that and see its current situation, right? So at the moment we have a table view controller, and we have items, and when we click, it knows what we have clicked, right? Awesome, right? It knows what we have clicked. So what I'm going to do now is, okay, when I click on each of these, I want to load another view controller, right? That's what I want to do. Displaying further details of the employee. For example, if I click on Ashley, I want to now show another view controller with extra details of Ashley, such as a description of Ashley, a photo of Ashley and the projects Ashley is working on, right? And dynamically on the same view control, if I click on say George, I want that same view controller to show George's details instead of Ashley's details, right? So let's see how we are going to do it, my friends, right? So the first thing is I'm going to the main storyboard, and because of my requirement, I'm going to put another view controller. Okay, so first thing is I'm going to add a view controller into this existing stuff in the storyboard. So I'm going to put a view controller. Why am I putting it? Because I want to show some extra details about my employee, right? And let's design that quickly, right? Let's put one label right over here, right? Just to say display the name of the employee, which I have clicked on my say on the previous view controller, which is this one, right? Just to display the name. And then let's have another okay, that's the name. And then I would like to have image view to display image of whatever the clicked employee, right? And then I would like to have a description of that employee, right? So this is the name. So I would like to have, for the description, I would like to have another label, but the description is going to be a lengthier description, so I want it with multiple lines. And then my friends, after that, I want to display that person's projects as well, whatever the projects the person is working, right? So now because I already have some components, I can't put another, I don't want to put another say table view controller, right? Because if I put another table view controller, it's going to be like a third screen. So instead of that, what I want is I want to display the projects in the same view control over here. So if you have looked at our previous lessons, you will know the answer for this is to use a table view, right? Instead of a table view controller. So because of that, my friends, I'm going to put a table view as well into this, right? Now let's do some decorations, right? So let's put some colors and fonts and stuff like that, right? So let me go into the property palette, right? And let me add some of the properties, right? So let me do it now. And I have put some colors to this, and let's say for this label I want to have multiple lines in this label, let's say around 5 lines, right? And let's say I want to resize it like into multiple lines, right? Okay, something like this, right? Awesome, right? I got that label as well, and this is the image I want to display. So let's say this is what I want, right? So I'm just moving the stuff there, and let's say this the table view, and I want it to be placed just here, right? Over here. Let's say this is what I want. Awesome, right? Now I need to put the what do you call this constraints, right? So I have to put the auto layout constraints, right, into into these components, right? So let's quickly put the auto layout constraints into these components, right? So let's get some space in first place so that you can see it. Remove it, and let's increase the size a bit. Now as you can see, so for this label I want to maintain, let's say, a gap from the top. Let's say it's the top space, right? So if you're not sure about these constraints, make sure to look at our other lesson series on adaptive UI, adaptive user interface, right? Okay, then I want to say center this horizontally, right? Awesome. And this image view, I want to maintain space from here to the label, that is the, okay, so I think I did a mistake into the label. I'm going to check that. I'm going to check these properties. Yeah, no, I think that's fine. Align to the top, that's good. Align, that's all good, right? No worries, right? So when I come to the image, then I want to have the vertical spacing, right, between this, and then I want to, let us say, have yeah, maybe I will just give some trailing space and some leading space. So don't worry about this. This is just doing the constraint. And for this one, same. I want to keep vertical spacing, and then from this to the corner, the trailing space, and then for this I would like to have, okay, the leading space as well, right? Awesome, right? So look at our lessons on adaptive UI if you are not sure what I'm doing here, right? And then for this I'm going to maintain vertical spacing, and then let's say spacing to the trailing edge, and let's say for the leading edge, right? Okay, so I got something here, and the next thing is I need to show some images here. So I'm going to add the images, not only this, some project images as well. So I got my images folder already, right? I got the general images, icons for people, names, right? Awesome. So for this I'm going to add some images which I have for people names and project names, right? So I'm going to add the files, my friends. Okay, let's go to the downloads, and I'm going to right, add some project icons, because I'm going to display some project information, right? Okay, I'm going to add that. And not only that, I'm also going to add some people, like icons for people, right? So say downloads, right? Person images, right? So I'm going to add a couple of person images, right? Around 6 of them. Awesome, right? So I got some images, and let's say for the template, I just want to see whether I can get image from this list, right? Like a person image, right? So yeah, awesome, right? Something, right? Just for template, just to see whether this runs, right? Okay, right? Awesome. And what do we do usually for a table view, right? So once we place a table view, you have to recall what we do normally, right? So we say how many cells we want, right? So let's say I want one cell, right? That's how you start with things, right? So then when you will get a cell, right? A table view cell, and let's say, I don't know, what do you want to display in that? Let's say you want to display okay, in this cell, right? Let's say the style is, okay, let's say write detail, right? Once again, it's up to you to select what's the suitable thing, right? And just assuming that you want the person to click and get more details about each project, because this, I'm going to display the projects over here, right? The person is working. So let's say I want to put that, and then let's say I want to have an image as well. I'm just giving example, like a project image, right? So let's say project image icon 1, for example, right? Something like this, right? But I'm going to load the data dynamically, right? I'm just making the properties, and I'm just doing the basic stuff, but I would like to see this field dynamically, and let's do it, right? Now before that, now I want to see whether this is going to work. So I'm going to run this and tell you a couple of important things, right? Also, I can see some errors over here, so I need to check that also, right? I know that the basic thing will come, but let's see what are these errors. So if I click here, okay, it says the table view need constraints for height. Okay, so it says it needs a constraint for height, right? And let's say add missing constraint. So let's ask it to add it and see what's going to happen, right? So it adds it, right? For the height, let's see this label. Okay, so let me put it a little bit down towards this. So let me undo it for a second, right? So let me undo the change, right? So it wanted a constraint for the height, so I got the label. Let me undo that as well, right? Okay, and let's put few things here. So what we do is we'll just run this first, right? So we'll use whatever it's suggesting us. We'll say add missing constraints, and we'll just keep it, because I just want to run this, my friends, right? First, and then we'll change the constraints, right? Okay, so now the basic screen will come. So what I want to do now is, when I click on each of this employee, right, I want to load the next view controller, right? I want to load the next view controller. So now that means programmatically I have to load the next view controller, right? So we have done a series, a couple of lectures in this series about programmatically loading view controller. So if you don't know how to programmatically load, please have a look at those lessons and understand how you programmatically load. So because we have done that part, I'm going to copy that code, like basically few lines, and I'm going to use it in this project, right? And even before that, there's one more important thing to be done, right? In the same lesson, what I was speaking, that is how programmatic loading view controllers, we have explained to you, when you have a view controller, you have to attach it to a class in the identity inspector. So at the moment it's not attached to a class. So what you have to do is you have to create a new view controller class, because it's a new view controller, right? So we have done those, so I'm just using that knowledge now, right? So add a new file, right? A Cocoa Touch class. Next, a UI view controller, right? Then the class name is, I'm going to say view controller. Okay, that's that second view controller, the new one, I'm using it to display the employee details. So I will call it as employee details, right? View controller employee details, just some meaningful name, right? View controller employee details. So now it created a new view controller employee details, as you can see here, which is a subclass of view controller. Then I will copy the name of this class and then go to the storyboard, right? And select on the second view controller and go to the identity inspector and make sure that you put that class name here. And because you are programmatically going to load this, you have to give a storyboard ID. So usually we put the same thing as a storyboard ID, and as restoration ID we are asking to use the same thing. So have a look at our previous lessons to understand what I did.